Hello everyone, welcome back to the one more session of Management Information Session. In this session, we will be continuing with the topic that is Technology of Information System. So before starting with the new one, let us recall what we have discussed in the previous session. In the previous session, we had discussed about the human factors and user interface, in which we had discussed what do we mean by the human factors, what is the difference between the human factors and the ergonomics, and we have also seen some of the typical examples that are associated with the human factors, and we have mainly gone through the 12 human factors that would cause or affect the productivity of a human being. And next we had gone through the user interface, that is the UI, and next we had seen about why the user interface is very much important, and also the purpose of UI. Next we had seen about the different types of interfaces. Finally, we had discussed about the conclusion factors with respect to human factors and human interface with respect to the ease of UI. So these were discussed in the previous session. Let us continue our discussion. So in this session, we would talk about the feasibility. So when we start up the things, we need to know what do you mean by feasibility. So in many of the organizations, they start their work by the word called feasibility. So they do a process called feasibility study. Then what do we mean by feasibility study? A feasibility study is an analysis. It is a typical analysis that takes all the project's relevant factors into account. Means they consider this study with respect to projects overall relevant factors into account. What are those? So when you talk about the different parameters that would be considered into account, it might be a economical things, it might be a technical things, it might be a legal activities or a legal things. Even they include the scheduling consideration to ascertain the likelihood of completing the project successfully. This is called the feasibility study. Means the feasible conditions that are more likely to complete the project successfully is said to be the feasibility study. Let us continue with that. Next, what is the main objective of the feasibility study? When we consider the successful completion of a project, that is the one part, but the intention of the feasibility study is to determine whether or not certain plan of action is likely to produce the anticipated result. Means determine the anticipated result. This is the main intention of feasibility. I would restate this again. The main objective of the feasibility study is to determine whether or not, means by the feasibility study we will be able to get whether it is possible or not. What possible or not? To ascertain the plan which is likely to be anticipated as a result. Means whether we are able to get the expected result or not, whether or not. This is the main important in a economical fashion, means in a very much economical way. That is also very important. Means this is very important because every organization looks into the parameters, stating that they want their anticipated result in a very better manner way, but also with less economical cost. This is the main objective of the feasibility. Next, when we start about the evolution and the feasibility solution of IT. We will see the evaluation, how does the feasibility is evaluated, and the feasibility we see this important point. One, the evaluation and the feasibility of what? Here we are totally dealing with the IT solutions. Since this is a totally IT oriented concept, so we'll look into it. As we develop different choices of information technology and also with respect to the various configuration, the decision making enters into a evaluation phase of selection. This is very important. So the choice of information technology and the configuration means which technology to use and what are the configuration. So when they have a lot of options, again this gives rise to the property of decision making there. So when we talk about the decision making, it is a evaluation process of selection, means not that there are many choices we can take the first come first serve. No, we need to evaluate which one to choose, because we always know that decision is made when wide variety of choices are available. So this is the first parameter that we need to make a decision of selecting the technology and the right configuration. Second, the selection criteria for evaluation would have different dimension to satisfy simultaneously, means when we talk about the evaluation and the feasibility, there are different dimensions that need to be considered while making the more feasible IT solution. What are those dimensions? There are three main dimensions. The first one is the technical. Here we need to look into the various technical aspects. Second one is operational. And the third one is the most important, that is the financial aspects. So these three things are mainly considered to be the three main dimensions of evaluation of a feasible IT solution. Let us go into the dimensions one by one. So before going into the dimension one by one, we look into that. So with respect to a diagram, let us look into the feasibility study. Let us consider this process as just a feasibility study. This feasibility study is a functionality concept. So we write like this. You might have been aware of this. How do we write procedural functions with respect to flowchart? In a similar way, this functionality of feasibility study involves three other major functions. What is that? It's the same functionalities. That is the feasibility studies. One is the technical feasibility. So the first is technical feasibility, which is directly associated with the concept of feasibility study. What is the second one? Second one is the operational feasibility. This is also directly associated with the concept of feasibility study. And finally, we have the economical or the financial. So when we talk about the feasibility study, so this diagram has to be mandatorily used, and also we talk about these three main parameters. Let us look into the one by one. When we talk about the technical feasibility with respect to the evaluation, we'll see the technical evaluation deals with the testing parameters such as data transfer needs, the response level and the successful connectivity of the different hardware platforms and the degree of meeting with respect to the overall system performance. Means here we totally deal with the various technical aspects with respect to the standards. When I talk about the standards, we need to keep up the top rated standards. Top rated standards for which? First one, we need to have a very good technical standards with respect to the data transfer. Means we need to have a high rate of data transfer, and moreover we need to have a high rate of response level. Why the response level is very important, we have seen in the previous session with respect to the user interface. So very good level or very fast level of user response needs to be there, and successful connectivity of the different hardware platforms. We see that when we have our application, the end users might be using a different hardware configuration. So we need to have such a synchronization, means compatibility things that needs to be supported with respect to the various hardware platforms. And finally, the degree of meeting with respect to overall performance standards, system performance standards should be very high. Means here the complete technical standards should be in such a way it meets all the aspects which are associated with the technical things. And then the following hardware software details are configured, and the quality of each item is also determined. This is also very important. Means when we talk about the technical aspects, always use a very good hardware and a software configuration, because when you use a typical things that it would be sufficiently running, but you don't get an optimal or a best satisfying result. In order to get a satisfying result, use the best hardware and the best software configuration. So if you use those best configuration, you get the quality with respect to each item, so that you can also make the decisions with respect to those things. Next, when we talk about the technical aspects, there are a list of technical aspects that you need to consider while making the feasibility study with respect to technical things. What are those? There might be a memory and cache concept technical thing. There might be, you need to look into the disk capacity, features, and also various controllers. You might be looking into the CPU speed, because most of the activities needs to be processed earlier. The processing architecture and also the capability of the CPU needs to be looked into it. When you are using the distributed networks, you need to look into the various servers, types and different kinds of servers. When the client server concepts are working, you need to look into the aspects of terminals, that is PCs, and also sometimes we call it as X terminals, that is clients, thin clients and other different clients. And moreover, you need to concentrate on the networking and the cabling, intranet and extranet also, that needs to be concentrated. These are the things. And again, with respect to email, the technical things, network of communication and securities needs to be concentrated. The output devices, monitors, operating system, the different standards of communication, mainly the hardware architecture. When you talk about the software, that is system software, you need to look into the OS, the gateways, interface devices, utilities and the compilers, and also the medias, the copying devices, the external things. When we talk about databases, you need to concentrate on RDBMS, its features and various software packages. Like this, you need to completely concentrate on the various aspects of the technical things. These were the feasibility that are associated with the technical feasibility. Next, we look into the operational feasibility. The options approved after the technical evaluation are tested for the operational feasibility. Means in the technical feasibility, we decide these are the technologies that needs to be used. Here we are just approving it. The next process is in the operational, we put those operations into those technical aspects into operational level. Means here we check for it. Technically we have suggestions, we have approved it, but still we have not tested it. The testing part is totally done in the operation level. What are the technologies that offer may not be possible to operate at the practical level? This is very important. When we talk about the theoretical aspects, technically it says these are the things that are supported. But when you go into the reality or the practicality, that might not be possible to work at the practical level. So, and the scale of obtainment of full benefits of various inherited features will not be supported. So, you should be very careful in approving the technical aspects. So, mandatorily it is very important you test it, putting the technology and the concepts into use before approving it. Next, when you talk about operational evaluation, it considers the people related issues. What do we mean by people related issues? Because when we talk about the people related issues, there might be n number of people that might be associated with the using of these technologies. Many a times people do not accept the change. They still look into the conventional things because they are already using it. They might be satisfied with it. They do not want to learn or adopt themselves to the new technology. So, this operational feasibility has also a problem with respect to people related issues. Next, whether the systems and procedures of the organization are complementary, means sometimes the procedures and the systems may just come under complementary. It would not be enforced rightly to work. So, you need to concentrate on it, whether it is just for a sake or really you are thinking into the things. That is about the operational. Continuing with these things, in number of situations, the choice of technology determines automatically, means there are a lot of in today's world we have lots and lots of choice with respect to technology, hardware, software, applications, many things. So, you should be in a right way of choosing it by practically checking it. If you do up these checking and the operational satisfaction, you would be able to calibrate the things, and also competence will be achieved, means you get to know the reality with respect to computation, whether it executes or not, whether it could work or not in all the situation that is needed. And finally, the knowledge of people in the organization is very much needed, because it is the people in the organization who uses these technologies. It is also observed that the organization many times does not provide people support to implement this technology successfully. This is one more point, because organization might be satisfied sometimes with the ongoing process. They never look into the new technology, new hardware to be adopted, because again it is an economical issues. So, you need to consider to balance with the existing and adopting with respect to the new technology. What are the shortcomings or hurdles on the people side would be like lack of requisite qualification, means when you talk about the new technology, when you wanted to adopt those new technology, the people, that is existing people in the organization, should have upgraded their qualification in order to use those things. So, what to do this? This is the thing. That's why we always say that every person in every organization should keep on enhancing their level of knowledge to the latest one. Otherwise, what happens? People will get outdated with respect to technology. Emerging technologies are 100. So, you need to be in cope up with the advanced technology. And then we should have the subject knowledge and the ability to observe the technology and use it efficiently and effectively. This is the shortcomings that usually we face with the people. If these are achieved, we have very good utmost manpower in the technological aspects. I'll repeat it again. So, people require to acquire the qualification in order to adopt themselves to the latest technology and the operations. They have to enhance their subject knowledge. And also, when we enhance their subject knowledge, what is the thing they achieve? They will be able to observe the technology. If they don't have the technology or absorption knowledge, whatever the new technology approaches them, they say it is not good, it might be bad. No, all the technologies are advancements. We need to have those technology. Only when we adopt the latest technology, we can make the best utilization in an efficient and effective manner. Many a times, the organization would require appointing a new set of personnel to fulfill these needs. So, you should be very careful when you are not supporting to the, or when you are not adaptable to the new technology, so organization may enforce you to quit, or organization may recruit new person in order to adopt those technology. So when you are advanced with those technology, you are said to be a very efficient person. This is about the operational feasibility. Let us look into the one more concept, that is the last one, the financial feasibility. As the name suggests, in some of the textbook it's been defined as financial feasibility, and in some of the supporting textbooks, reference books, it is mentioned as economical feasibility. So look at this diagram. A feasibility has a combination of three things: technical, operational and financial or economical feasibility. So we have come to the last part. So all the options that can be evaluated in terms of investment calls for it. Means, what is that feasibility? Whatever the investment has to be made has given a rise to the financial feasibility study. What is that? It is always possible to rank the options on the basis of investment. Means, organization always monitors or wants the details of the pin-to-pin investment or pie-to-pie investment that has been made with respect to the development. So always we rank the options on the basis of investment. How much has been investment made? So goes to rank. Means, adopt more amount, more financial investment on the latest technology. Obviously your rank shoots up. This is the meaning of this statement. All the business investments are evaluated in terms of return. Means, how do we evaluate the business? Means, I have invested 10,000, if I get 20,000, it is a good return. In the similar way, business investments are always evaluated in terms of the return on the investment. We call it as ROI, return on investment. So or certain payback period, means after so many years how much returns I do get. So on basis of these kinds of return back, the business investments are evaluated. They are also judged from budget consideration. How do we assess the budget is the main important. And also the information technology investments are difficult to judge on the ROI, return of investment basis, because some aspects of the investments are intangible and are difficult to quantify and in the monetary terms. Means, all the investments cannot be assessed as a return. Some are for the supporting things. So you cannot consider everything as to a return, because you make some investment for the betterment, not for the returns. This is also very important. This organization has to understand these things, not that every investment made will yield a profit. Some are for the benefits of the people, some are for the benefits of the organization. They do not return money, but they provide a happiness, enjoyable and the good culture or a best facility in the organization. We cannot expect that as a returns. The best approach in such case is to judge the investment in terms of value of information it gives on an incredible scale. Means, all the investment is directly or indirectly helpful for the beneficial of the people of the organization in order to get the financial status, operational feasibility status and technical feasibility status. Altogether, when the technology is approved and in the right way it is used, it provides a proper information support system. So while summarizing all the things what we have discussed in this session, we have discussed mainly the evaluation. So evaluation of feasibility study. Before that we have discussed what do you mean by feasibility study, and we have discussed mainly about the evaluation and feasibility study of the IT solution, in which we have drawn the diagram of the feasibility study that associated with the technical, operational and also the financial aspects. So these three major parts are said to be the dimensionality of the feasible study or feasibility of IT solution. This is what I had wished to discuss in this session. Thank you for listening.